Tracking your attention. Hello, my little freaks. Let's begin where we left off in our last lesson. In your usual state of consciousness, you are simply characters in a film. And if your attention is not your own, we said that your soul is not your own. Harsh, but true. And finally, we understood that you are directed by an external script which wires you in the film. Now, you've peeked behind the veil, you've walked through a waking dream, and you've held the awareness point, if only for a breath. But now we must go deeper, because the real work begins not when you wake up once, but when you learn how to stay awake. That means learning to track your attention. Not occasionally, not when it's convenient, constantly. Why? Because your attention is your signal, and your signal is your authorship. In your usual state of consciousness, you are not a being. You are a role. You are a character in a scene that's already been written. And your lines, well, they're pre-programmed, and so are your gestures. They're rehearsed. And so, if your attention is not your own, I'll repeat, neither is your soul. You are moved by an external script, not because you are weak or something, but because you have not yet learned to detect the moment when the takeover happens. Every time your attention is hijacked, every time you get pulled back into the screen, inner or outer, you slip, you fall back inside the film. And if you don't believe me, look now. Where was your attention just a moment ago? Who had it? Was it you? No? Then it was the script. That's not a metaphor. That is an operational truth. I'll say it again for my hard to hear creatures in the back. Your attention is yourself. It is the steering wheel, the lens, the signal projector. If you do not own it, you are not you. And the film rolls on. A dream, whether waking or sleeping, can either be lucid or reflexive. If you do not hold your attention, you are reflexive. You are being played. You are as helpless as the bunny in a trap. Soft, startled, and totally under the control of the frame. But if you reclaim your attention, you come back to the center. You wake up inside the dream. You become a sane character, a lucid one, a director in training. You can move through the scene at will. You can make decisions. You can walk the set without being gripped by the script. And while you can learn this in dreams, it matters far more to do it in waking life. Why? Because life is where your power lies. Dreams are archival. Life is real time. Your life is the frame that edits the others. In life, you either flail around in someone else's movie, or you begin to write your own. The only thing standing between you and lucidity is your habit. You see, you have a deeply wired pattern of falling into one of the two screens, and that's okay. It's normal, but here's the thing. We're not doing normal anymore, are we? So here's the method. You begin to track your attention with your attention itself. Yes, the observer watches the observer. You use attention to anchor your attention. You loop the signal. You stitch the center into place. Now, you won't be able to hold it continuously at first, and that's not the point. The point is return. The moment you notice that you've slipped, you come back to the center, back to the observation point, back to I see myself, I see reality. This phrase is your thread. You pull it. It brings you back every single time. Let's break this down. Outer triggers. These are events that pull your attention. For example, you meet someone, you hear a sound, someone speaks your name, you get a notification, a door slams, a cat meows. You get the point. The moment something occurs, you wake up and use it as a bell. You return to center. You say, I see myself, I see reality. And then there are inner triggers. These are moments before you act, before action, before you open a door, before you speak, before you walk into a room, before you press send. The moment before action is your window. Don't act until you've centered, because after you act, it's too late. You've already stepped inside the scene. This practice is not conceptual, it is like a martial art. You build the muscle by repetition. There is no other way. You don't get better by understanding, you get better by doing. Every time you catch yourself falling asleep and return, you strengthen the signal. You reformat the pattern. You become a lucid force inside the film. Eventually, your attention will default to the center. Eventually, you will notice before you fall. And eventually, you will walk through the world like a lucid being, not lost in the story, but aware within it. Now listen carefully. Just because you are waking up doesn't make you better. Yes, your signal has changed. Yes, your awareness cuts through the fog, but that does not make you superior. Others are still asleep. That's not their fault. That is their timing. So don't walk into the dream with arrogance. Don't treat the sleepers as beneath you. That right, that privilege of belittling belongs to me because I am Tufti, your priestess, and you are my little dream-sick creatures finally learning to wake up. Now look at me and admire me unstingingly.